that scene, it kind of happened, it went nowhere, and it just left you kind of confused. That scene is like the entire movie in Halloween Ends. I read the synopsis because I had seen somebody made a comment about how it was, stupid. So I just out of curiosity, I read the synopsis for Halloween Ends. And with every beat of the synopsis, I was like, what? Like, it didn't make any sense. works at a mechanic shop, like a junkyard slash mechanic shop. So he offers to have her bring her car by and he can fix it because it's an easy fix. So she fixes up his hand and she then goes to the junkyard to have her car fixed. But just then the bullies show up, the marching band bullies. So he dodges and gets out of there and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I just have to go. And it's super weird. And mind you, we're like 30-ish minutes into the film at this point and we've not seen or heard anything about Michael Myers. Last we heard, he's just on the loose. Laurie has decided to just give it up. All the carnage, if you saw Halloween Kills that took place, everybody getting murdered in the street by Michael Myers, that's all been kind of not forgotten necessarily, but it's just like the tone is, And the sheriff who was stabbed in the neck in Halloween 2018, he reemerges, but he just kind of has this very limp, not interesting story, like love thing with Laurie, where he's trying to slowly this whole thing, and Allison gets more upset. So Corey goes back to Michael's sewer home and beats him up. He beats Michael Myers up and steals his mask. He literally says, "I need something," and he beats up Michael Myers and then takes his mask. This guy we've seen endure so much. He's been set on fire, he's been shot, he's been chopped up, he's been hit with cars, he's been thrown from cars, he's been everything that you can think of that could happen to Michael Myers has happened, and this kid who's barely old enough to drink beats up and robs Michael Myers of his mask. So at this point, it's pretty, I'm just kind of waiting for the end. And then they do this whole thing where Laurie is distraught because she's about to lose Allison, and they try to make it look like she's going to kill herself because she calls and reports a suicide at her home. Meanwhile, Corey is off on a rampage, and he goes to the junkyard, and he kills the bullies. The bullies show up somehow. I can't remember exactly how they show up or what they were doing there, but he kills all four of them, in really violent, graphic ways. He kills his mother, who's a total jerk the whole movie. He kills some DJ who was mean to Allison and him a couple of beats ago. And what kind of bugged me was, I don't mind gore in movies. I love a good gory movie, but the kills that were meaningful, like when he killed his mom, because the whole movie, his mom is sort of you don't like his mom. She's a real see you next Tuesday. And the whole movie, you're like, God, I want this lady to get it so bad. I want her face to get ground to a powder by Michael Myers. And she's just naggy and annoying, and she's gonna get killed. And when she does, it's this slow-mo and then cuts to off-screen. So she gets an off-screen death, and I don't even think they show the aftermath. But the DJ who was mean to her, Allison and Corey, he gets a really graphic visual death where they show everything. ensure that Michael is gone for good, they chain him to the hood of Laurie's car, and they sort of parade his lifeless body through the town, where everybody in Haddonfield follows for like a giant funeral procession. And then they throw Michael's body into like a giant compactor, a giant trash compactor, and that's the end of Michael Myers. That's how a 44-year-old cinema horror legend goes out. And then the movie ends on this really whimpery note where Sheriff Hawkins shows up to Laurie's house and invites her to Japan with him because he wants to try something new in his old age. And she, like, mildly accepts, kind of. She's like, oh yeah, that sounds nice. They make some sort of allusion to cherry blossoms. And that's how the movie ends. So yeah, that's Halloween Ends. There are theories that Corey got Allison pregnant somewhere in the interim between them meeting and him dying, and that his child will go on to become the Shape. And I think, personally, even though Jamie Lee Curtis said it was her last film, she'll probably come back for an appearance in the next movie or saga, whatever they do, because, you know, there's this whole idea that the Shape is an idea, it's an abstract, it's not just Michael now. So she'll probably have a small appearance in the next film, and her great-grandchild, Allison's son or daughter, they might make it a girl, who knows, Allison's child will go on to kill Laurie, maybe Allison, and become the next Shape, the next killer in this franchise or series or whatever. All I can say is, looking back on the 2007 Rob Zombie reboot and retelling of the Halloween and Michael Myers story, I'm actually really grateful for that story, because at least it was like, it felt like its own thing, and at least Michael got plenty of screen time. You know, as ridiculous as it may have been in certain aspects, this movie literally felt like if you had not had Michael Myers if